Welcome to Platemark, the podcast where we dive into the sprawling ecosystem of the print world. I'm your host, Anne Schaefer. Today, we're bringing you a History of Prints episode. We're heading to 18th century Venice, a city of masks, canals, and incredible theatrical splendor. Joining me is our resident subject matter expert, our s2e, Drew Ludwig, to help us unpack the work of Canaletto. While many see Canaletto as a mere documentarian of cityscapes, Drew and I are looking at how he actually manipulated reality to create the ultimate grand tour souvenirs. If you've been following along, you know that this is part 2 of a 3-parter on Venice and the Venetians. This one focuses on Canaletto, as I said. So know that if you haven't listened to the preamble, you should go back and do that. And you should also wait with bated breath for part 3, which will focus on Giovanni Battista Tiepolo and his son, Giovanni Domenico, GD. All right, let's get rolling.
That takes us to our buddy Giovanni Antonio Canal, and everybody called him Canaletto. And, it's interesting. His years are almost exactly the same as Hogarth's.
Oh.
He's right in the same time zone, but he's doing his version of cataloging his world in much the same way. Now, I'm showing you a marvelous little portrait of him. What do you think of that portrait?
It's very sweet.
Isn't it nice? He's got his powdered wig on and it's all gorgeous. It's got a gaudy frame. And, it's interesting also when I'm reading about these guys, who are they learning from? Who do they look to? Who's inspiring them? And Canaletto, well, he's called Canaletto because his dad was also a painter and his last name was Canal.
Okay.
Canal. And so he's Canaletto because he's a little canal. Right. Kind of like Tintoretto. His dad was a fabric dyer.
Oh.
So he's like the little dyer, Tintoretto.
Right.
See, isn't it cute?
That is cute.
Yeah. So, Canaletto was born in the Republic of Venice, and that's pretty important. I think most people would realize that they've seen paintings of his. He's so well known for his paintings because they're these magnificent veduta, they're views of his hometown. But he also painted in Rome and he also painted in London, and I managed to avoid most of those because they don't have anything to do with what we're talking about today. He was in England from 1746 to 1756, but let's just focus on the time that he was spending in Italy. He was wildly successful, so successful that 50 of his paintings were sold to King George III.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, he was well represented. And you think about it, he had his apprenticeship with his dad. He and his brother were both helping his dad do theatrical scene paintings.
Oh.
And when you start thinking about all the things that we've been seeing, all of these splashy paintings, I kept saying, doesn't it look like theater? Mm-hmm. Doesn't it look like a backdrop? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a huge part of culture at this time is the theater, and think of the carnival and operas, doing sets for operas. They were designing sets for operas by Vivaldi, whose dates are right on top. This is exactly the same time frame, and Scarlatti.
Oh.
So the arts, that is really this beautiful crossover. So, they're working on the scenery. They're doing all of these kinds of things. They design things for the carnival pageants and whatnot. Canaletto will look to some of his contemporaries. One of them is Panini, who did beautiful views. I have here a painting of the interior of the Pantheon, which I use in every class because it's just astonishing to me how bizarrely photographic it is. You've been in the Pantheon.
I know, but you can't capture that with a photograph.
Right. But he does, right? He's showing the way the light of that 30-foot open oculus to the sky is sending this shaft of light around, and, how to show a building from the 2nd century with people of today in it and how current it is. And, these artists are drinking in the concept of these ruins and their forebears. That's part of the Enlightenment. That's part of understanding what went on before you. And so thinking about how Canaletto is coming up, being apprenticed to his dad and such. He goes to Rome in 1718. He comes back in 1719, and he starts really working on what we call his topographical style. And I remember being a little bit dismissive of what he's doing, but that's really stupid.
Well,
because
there's so many of them.
Exactly. Now, boy, if I got a treat for you, because there's so many of them. Why are there so many?
They were popular.
Yeah. Supply, demand, you want them, I'll make them. The other thing that's fascinating is that in several places I've seen much of Canaletto's early artwork is painted from nature. Now, most folks would do their paintings in the studio, but Canaletto would start them outdoors. Now, he would finish them up, but I think that's really quite remarkable. Also, the thought that they're so photographically, bizarrely perfect, but the figures in the back are kind of blobs of color. There are those who would say, he used the camera obscura. Now, you wrote that article with Jenny Carson, right?
I did.
Well, do you want to drop in anything about that, camera obscura?
Well, there's some of us who believe that an artist would use any tool at his disposal and wouldn't not use a camera obscura to help him or her take in architecture if that would help them.
Yeah.
And so I believe Canaletto probably did.
He could have experimented with it.
Sure, exactly. I haven't dug into Canaletto, so I'm not sure, but they're definitely...
It lends itself to things like Vermeer. We could say he used it.
Yes.
There are those that think he did. There's a whole really good movie on that. I went to see it with my sister. It was...
the David Hockney one?
No, it's something else. That the guy was... Tries to replicate it. And eventually he's just sobbing. Because right. It's like, yeah, right, asshole.
Yeah.
You're not Vermeer. That's why.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a kit.
Well, and it only helps so much, right? It helps you get the outline. It doesn't help you with much else.
Right. And so people are like, well, he traced it. Well, that's some of us would use an artograph or a digital projector. Yeah, exactly. And most folks are now just using digital anything, right? Well, here's the point. So Canaletto, maybe he used it, but, he could have taken some inspiration from it. But as you'll see, he's just really great at laying down the details. He understands how perspective works. The thing about these huge landscapes he does, or cityscapes, is that they're going to show the pageantry and the wonderful kinds of traditions of Venice. But it's interesting. Now, eventually he does go to England, and I have to share this with you because most people will say his early work is his better work. He goes to England. He's there for 10 years. Let's see. Many of his pictures were sold to Englishmen on their grand tour. And let's see, he also had, this is kind of relevant here, Joseph Smith was a banker and also an envoy to Venice and had encouraged him and became essentially his dealer. In the late 1720s, he encouraged the artist to paint small topographical views of Venice with a commercial appeal for tourists and foreign visitors to the city. And Canaletto started doing so. And we know that he did this certainly by 1744 because that's when he dedicates his set of Capricci etchings to this fellow Joseph Smith. And
that's Joseph Smith encouraged him to make etchings?
But yeah, to make these little paintings. And then he starts making the etchings and he makes the etchings and dedicates the set
publication
to Joe Smith. And one of the reasons that he ran off to England was because there were some wars that were erupting and it was kind of unpleasant. And there, the money wasn't so good in Venice there for a little bit. But he starts developing these etchings. It's easier to do these kinds of views. They're smaller. You can sell them. It could have been for just because, hey, that's a way to make money. But the thing I wanted to share with you also is that he paints his native city as souvenirs, right? But let's see, when he goes to England, the Englishmen wanted them to paint their city like he painted Venice. It's not Venice. It's not going to be as pretty.
No.
But he's going to keep painting what he paints and so on and so forth. Well, eventually he starts taking a hit because people start thinking his paintings aren't as good. They've gotten worse. They're not as good. And the market starts turning against him.
Oh.
And he loses a little bit of his credibility. And in fact, there are people thinking that maybe somebody else is painting fake Canalettos. Eventually, it just basically boils down to how did they say it? Yes. The lucrative stream of commissions was made both by his reputation and his fortune, but may have also resulted in an increasingly formulaic style of his later paintings, which John Ruskin described as, quote, miserable, heartless, virtueless mechanism.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, Mr. Bitchy.
You don't want to cross Ruskin.
Yeah. I mean, he's writing about it. And it's 100 years later, but that's pretty... heartless, virtueless, yeah. And
they do look.
Of course they do, but the early ones are just positively fabulous.
Doesn't mean he can't paint. It's just they do sort of have a way about them.
Can I just, Philip Pearlstein's been painted the same thing for 30 years. Yeah, you guys get it, right? So when he turned to etching, though, it's a completely different situation. Here I'm giving you one of his earliest architectural capriccio, which is, just a caprice of fancy. It's largely imaginary. And I want you to know that this is huge, actually. Well, first of all, Anne, take a look at this magnificent painting and tell me what you think.
It is that's really crazy. I've never seen this one before. It's
Yeah.
a kind of a ruinous landscape, but lots of nearly intact buildings. And that's not no, that's not San Marco behind.
Well, see, that's just it. There's a little bit, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of
where
that.
you are. Yeah.
And that's because it's like a tossed salad. It's like, I'll take a little bit of this. And he does. And that's a caprice, is that, he starts putting these things together. And I wanted for you to understand, this is a huge painting, and it had a pendant that lived in a mansion. This painting, this early one, it's 6 feet tall by 10 feet across.
Good Lord.
The later Canalettos would be about the size of a constable. A nice 6-footer. Yeah, pretty much. But if you look at these earlier paintings, you can totally tell that they look like sets that were painted for operas, like Vivaldi's 90 operas. 90.
Vivaldi wrote
90 operas. 90 operas. And Scarlatti wrote 100 of them.
What?
And Canaletto and his brother, they designed sets for them. So I want you to understand that aspect of theater and music and all of these things going together has so much to do with that kind of quality of life, and how you add all of that, the music, the culture, the liveliness, to the light and the color of their world. And that makes for paintings that sparkle in ways that hadn't before.
This is the first time we've had scene painting for operas enter the story.
Right. And exactly, because when I made oblique references to, let's say, Poussin, who is a century earlier. He's 1640.
Whoa.
And Claude Lorraine is a century earlier. And those are beautiful, color-filled things, but they're not theatrical as though they look like they could be the sets for pageants and operas in front of them.
No, I take this Canaletto over a Claude any day.
Yeah. So, but imagine having this for imagine having these 2 10-foot paintings in your mansion outside of Venice, because his commissions are starting to rise in the 1720s. And there are things that really delight me about Canaletto's work, because, I actually use this particular one. This is a Capricci, but what you see here is an equestrian monument, which I think is the Bartolomeo Colleone that's in Padua. I think it's that monument, because it's on a 13-foot pedestal, and it matches exactly the outline of that equestrian monument by Verrocchio.
Why would he pull that in there?
Well, why not? But some of these, and this was in Dresden, by the way. But are you going to be able to pick up a painting, or what might you do? Why would Canaletto start to etch? Well, it's interesting here. We have these glorious views. The perspective on them, I don't think this is camera oscura. I'm sorry. I think the guy knows exactly what he's doing, because I'm showing Anna an incredible image of the Square of St. Mark's in Venice. It was done about 1742, and it shows St. Mark's and the Doge's palace and the people moving about. And you tell me, it's 4 feet tall and it's 5 feet wide. It's essentially like a Constable, nice easel-sized thing for the home. But what do you think?
I'm a little bit startled by it, because having worked at the National Gallery for 7 years, I don't think I've ever seen this painting.
I always try to throw stuff in from the National, especially stuff with really arcane titles.
Big or something. Yeah. The thing that struck me about this is, aside from the bell tower that's missing, it looks exactly like that today.
It absolutely does. It has not changed one whit.
One iota.
But the other thing is, look at the way the light moves through this. Mm-hmm. This is not formulaic. This is dazzling, and you can see operas taking place in front of it in a way. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking, it looks like there's a stretch of shadow. There is. It's coming up on top of the right-hand part of San Marco there.
Oh, from the tower is casting. Yeah.
So maybe the bell tower is just at, here it is. It's right here. Mm-hmm. I see.
He's a clever dude.
Yeah.
But, he knows his business. He knows how to paint these things. And there's a way to sell it. And there's one thing I wanted to show you, was that there was another etcher at the time. His name is Antonio Vicentini. And I wanted you to see this dual portrait, because it is...
That's crazy.
It's Canaletto looking towards Vicentini, who is doing reproductive etchings of Canaletto's paintings. Look, here we have the prospectus, and of it. I mean, look at this. This is Vicentini's. It's the front.
This is a set of prints after Canaletto.
Yes.
Okay.
Now look at all the hoo-ha. I mean, it's got all
the frame.
It's got this, the San Marcos lion, and it's got all of the Catholic. It's got all
sorts of stuff.
All of the attributes, the figures, the genius, the genie, the painting brushes,
the tools, and architect's tools.
It's delightful. Now here is, I wanted to set this up for you so you could look at how Vicentini does his reproductive version of the same exact painting, which is really stunning. Again, it's the Doge's Palace. There's the bell tower.
Right.
And it's very, very accurate. Now, take a look at how he's rendered it. Look at the sky.
The sky. I was just looking at the sky.
That's a lot of parallel lines, isn't it?
But there's a diagonal cloud right over the Doge's Palace. It's fantastic.
It is beautiful. But it's like almost a bizarre pale Xerox of the painting.
Well, and the water, the texture of the water,
it's ridiculous.
It's really weird.
I'm sorry. That's not fair to say ridiculous.
So funny.
But it's water. How do I make it?
Yeah,
right?
How do you make water?
But it's trying to be as faithful line for line with the painted image, and we've talked before about how hard that is to do. But what I wanted to point out to you is, I mean, there's a market for reproductive prints of Canaletto's paintings.
Sure.
And there was even a moment when they were working together on them. But the difference between a reproductive print and an autographic print is really quite interesting, because when we get to looking at this set of prints by Canaletto, which is maybe somewhere between 31 and 34 prints, it's a whole cycle that he calls the vari capricci, various fantasies. They're not the views that you would expect of Venice. These are not postcards. That's what Vicentini is doing. What Canaletto's doing is he creates this series, and it's called, my Italian's going to suck, Vedute altre prese da I luoghi oltre idiate da Antonio Canal.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. I sung a little bit in Italian. Views, some representing actual sites, others imaginary, by Antonio Canal.
Interesting.
Now, think about that. Actual sites and others imaginary. And looking at this title page.
Title page is fantastic.
Isn't it stunning?
It is.
Now, here, I'll give it nice and big for you. Whoop, here. Ooh, there was a nice sigh. Wasn't that lovely?
It is lovely.
And it's big, too. The plate is almost 12 inches by 17 inches.
17? Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's a big piece of copper.
That is.
And look, you see, to Joe Smith, he's the consul from Britain to my beautiful Venetian Republic.
Right.
And it's a ruin, and you can see people and spires of Venice behind now. But look at that sky.
Yeah. Different.
Completely different. Now, what's happening here, if Vicentini was doing views of paintings by Canaletto, it's like, just the facts, ma'am, right?
Yeah.
But here we get Canaletto does these etchings, and I don't think that he's doing for trade as much as he's enjoying the thought of what it is to draw and to be able to scribe some beautiful images, imaginary images, some on site, some from imagination, scribe them into, and it's all line etch.
And wait, do we know where he was printing? Was Tintoretto printing these for him?
I don't know who's printing. Frankly, that's a great question. I don't know who's printing them for him.
Because we went by Tintoretto's shop.
Well, you're going to take me next time. Yeah, poop. So the thing that I want for you to notice about these Capricci, these marvelous.
Well, so even the title page is a Capricci. It's a whimsy, because the words are set on the back of a ruin as though they were a mural that you would,
they've been carved into it,
or wheat pasted or something.
Yeah.
And there are these little people sitting on a set of steps that goes down to a sort of bog of water / canal.
A canal.
And they're pointing at the words, reading the mural.
Look at this. It's these veduta, right?
Right.
And the thing that's so interesting is that it's not the touristy package stuff. It's not like getting the postcards, right? And it's interesting, of these 34 images, only 11 of them are actual views And we know he can paint them. I tried
could do it in his sleep.
Yeah. But the thing that's so neat is that, as you had said, you guys sat and you watched the guys bring in the HVAC. You watched the guys got to take out the beer barrels. It's like these people doing their humble everyday things, these little modest by some of his little favorite spots.
The innkeeper told us that as a city, the garbage scow comes through every single day.
They have to. Where are they going to put it?
Exactly.
It has to go away, right? And it's interesting, 11 are actual views. That means that you've got, 24, how many is that? 34 less 11 is 23 that are, I'm tired. I've been good all day. 23 that are made up. And the last 9 are just landscape. They don't even have ruins in them.
Oh, my.
And now, that's interesting. Think about that. Who is it he wants to actually depict? And right here, does that not look like a set?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, Joe walks onto the scene and starts to sing a song.
Yes.
There is a banner on the sky. And it's just marvelous to see. Man, I would own that page.
Oh, for sure.
I would totally own that.
Yeah.
And, it's the size of a ledger piece. Actually, on the screen here, that's about the size of that's a big hunk of copper,
that is
right?
Big.
So we got to think about that. And so there's one that was also equally large. It's 12 by 17. And for some reason, there's only a very few copies of it when it's all in one piece. For some reason, he cut it in 2.
Oh, weird.
Now, I don't know, but we don't know exactly. I mean, it's
you can sell one half.
Exactly. That's what I was like. Well,
double your money.
Right. And one of the other things I'm doing my nod to an exhibition that was put on by Hood College of a collection of gentlemen that had collected all of these. And theirs is in 2 pieces like this. But let's see. This one is an imaginary view of Venice, houses at the left with figures on. This is a title made by only a cataloger could do.
Well,
go ahead, you read it, because this is totally your. Go ahead for it. Go, you cataloger.
Well, so it's good to note that I don't know if this is true of all of them, but basically because it's a set, there's not an address on each one,
right?
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's no avant la lettre. They're original prints.
Interesting,
right?
So some cataloger in some museum, the Hood in this case, I guess, somebody did this initially, and we're all following the catalog raisonné that's telling us that this is the title. Imaginary view of Venice, houses at left with figures on terraces, a domed church at center in the background, boats and boat sheds below, and a seated man observing from a wall at right in the foreground.
From views, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I've said this before, but the reason for that is because there's so many of them, you have to get really specific so you can tell them apart.
Cow in grass.
Exactly.
Cow liegen the
3 cows in grass. 1 drinking water.
Right. And
1 pooping.
Right. So this, it's interesting because Venice's print production just blossomed in the 18th century. It was just really remarkable. And Canaletto was the first volley of this gloriousness. Now, of course, they're the Veduta guys that do the reproductive stuff, but these are a different ilk. They're not postcards. And I think there's so many things about getting ready to talk to you about this tonight. It's like, man, this got tendrils into so many other areas. Like the whole operatic aspect of it is one thing. And the concept of what is a drawing and how much a caprice is in terms of just a fantastic kind of an image, some kind of a lovely fantasy on a thought where you just let your scribe dance across the plate and not have to create. You realize that there's there's no cross-hatching in this.
No.
And he's used probably 2 timed bites, like 2 bites, not just 1, because there's some darker values, but it's fascinating to see what he's managed to crank out in this 5-year period.
But I'm still fascinated by what his motivation for making prints in the first place of his own, photographically.
Yeah.
Like what? And you think it's because somebody said, "Hey, here, try this," and he thought this is really cool.
Says, yes, Joe Smith says, you could
Give
try
it a try.
this. It's like, okay, what the hell? I did 34. I'm going to dedicate this whole thing to you. Thanks a bunch.
The text that you've copied from somewhere, does it mean that these are the only prints he made?
No.
Okay.
No, there's many, but in the
this
case,
was his foray into printmaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's these 34 images.
Amazing.
So yeah, and then of course, then what I do also want to do is give you the big up close of it, so we get to see. You can see it; it's in two pieces.
Yeah.
But look at just tell them what they've won, Johnny. What do you see here?
This in these Venetian views, because the BMA had some Canaletto, but it has other people.
The Piero
also.
del the little guys, yeah, they're really nice.
These were always on the top of my great clouds list, because the way they made clouds out of these horizontal parallel lines, and suddenly you would just get a little variation in the wiggle, and you would get this fantastic
it's
cloud.
Sort of like a beautiful little EKG kind of dancing across, compared to the reproductive one, which was like the flatlining, right? And these just have this, and there's this quivering, lovely. It's just dancing.
And the fact
across.
that the lines are broken up, he's doing a group of lines and then the next group of lines. So you get this sort of seam in between where the lines are stopping, but it adds to the liveliness.
Absolutely. That's the thing. They're lively. And the reproductive ones are like, it's sort of like your DMV photos, like, and this is just a candid shot of somebody like, and looking at the hubbub of just this business of life that's going on.
But like this, the building on the right,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that looks a little Lucas van Leyden-y.
Yes, that's really good. And you can exactly. Now you're going to see that you're going to start going, I feel like there's bits of Rembrandt sneaking into these and a couple of the others. And you'll see that, I think that Tiepolo's probably been looking at some Rembrandt too. And it's that marvelous thing. This is not the big splashy San Marco Plaza. That's a beat up old building. It's got some, rugged shutters on it. And the other thing that's just really marvelous about it, I like this, check out this detail. It's too wonderful. Look at those clouds.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? And here is the date. It's all, in Roman, right? But the whole point here is just to see how informal it is.
Yes.
It's just
that's a good description.
It's
I mean, and the clouds say it all.
They really do. But you can tell that the perspective is spot on.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like ruled. It doesn't look like he's used. Can you see there's Whistler in this too?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The Black Wharf. And sure.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that? But so that whole concept of what is a drawing becomes so phenomenally important. Here is one that is essentially, this one you see in a lot of books because it's just so marvelously unusual.
The composition's amazing.
Right. And it's the portico with the lantern. This one is hey, look, it's at your old museum, the NGA. This is another one of those big honkers. It's, 12 by 17. But tell them what they've won, Johnny. What do you see?
Well, the thing that's so great and stage-like about this is that there is like a proscenium arch at the foreground. So you're looking through this ruin into a landscape that looks like sort of an apartment building. And then there's kind of a triangle arch and then a temple or a church or something.
And then it keeps going.
And then it keeps going out to sea.
Yeah. And there are masts and ships in the way back and those glorious clouds. And if you look at this apartment building, and then you look at the deck up on the roof. It's like that could be Fells Point in Baltimore.
It could.
It totally could. But then there's this.
And we saw those there on top of the buildings today in Venice. You see them going along.
Well, I mean, I'm dying to put one on the top of my little row house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
this hanging lantern is hilarious. Like it's one of those things that is required.
I love it. You're doing the true thing. Okay, so I was saying, put your fingers over that, cover it up, and see what it does to the. But look at how it anchors that, and all that negative space, and this lantern that's hanging open, kind of wishing that somebody would put something in it. Like, but it's not. It's informal. It's very genre. It's not high tone. These are working people, or they're not tourists stumbling around the ruins. These are folks that
they're working.
Yeah. And it's just, this is my Venice kind of thing. These are my kind of folks. And the compositions are so wonderful. And, that's not camera oscura there. It's not.
No.
That's a guy who's like, I got my chops. I know how to get
he doesn't need a camera obscura for that.
Isn't that fab?
Yeah.
And then, I just puts a couple other here. There are times when it's like, wait a minute. It's not fair that you can have all of these ruins and get them all, perspectively correct, just like being able to draw the perfect human body and perfect proportion and the bones all work. But here, you've got something sort of like the Constantinian basilica. And then what the hell is this pyramidal thing doing here? And then, a triumphal or a column with somebody, and then but then there's a guy just fixing a thing, right? Right. Isn't that great?
So, but he signed this one.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll see the canal fece. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on there. But there's
so casually.
Oh yeah. It's in cursive. Cursive. Now that's my other point. Cursive. When I look at these and I think about how cursive, how beautiful cursive is, and they're not teaching it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is a kind of drawing that you have to learn how to do. And once you've learned how to do it, you can do it as much as you like. If you don't learn how to draw, then you don't have that skill. If you don't learn cursive, then all you can do is type and do bad printing. This is the kind of drawing people can't do anymore, in much the same way that we're losing cursive and the beautiful, the lovely calligraphy of a beautifully written line, with letters that it right there. Everything about this is autographic.
Mm-hmm.
It is handwritten. He's written. It's almost like the icon writers. He's written this drawing. And I adore this. Landscape with ruined monuments. And then if you squint and you look at how he's got this wedge of land closest to us with highlighting these people that are working, it's just ridiculous. Now, the thing I wanted to point out to you is now his drawings are stunning. And in fact, Joe Smith would bind them in a volume with prints.
Oh.
Because by the 18th century, there's this allure of the sketch and the hand drawn, and the more spontaneous the studies of things become more interesting.
Well, and you're closer to the artist.
Right. And so, even the sketches, the oil sketches are more interesting to some people than, the finished paintings. And in this case, I wanted for you to see when he's doing his ink wash, each of these the methods that he's using. Here you got pen and ink, and you can see pen and ink. He's there. He is on site, sketching it in. But you can see his facility using ink wash as well. But each has their own flavor. When you start paying attention to how he's staging the clouds, I think the way he uses wash helps inform how he's going to scribe those.
Oh, probably.
Even though one is a tone and another is a line.
Yeah.
How
he's equally facile in both.
And that's just annoying.
Not fair.
Exactly. So, we have the library. I'm going to show you this.
The Libraria?
Yeah, I knew you'd like this one. Okay, so the library in Venice, which is quite wonderful. Have a look at this here.
Well, I'm starting to see Tiepolo. Okay. So, yeah. This is the building that lines the square that heads out to the water across from the Doge's Palace in
See
San
how
Marco.
you already know where you are.
I know exactly where I am because there's the bell tower and the statue.
And you're going to meet for espresso over here at 3 o'clock.
There's a little gelato shop right there.
See? There you go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just architecturally stunning, and a Sansovino's beautiful architecture from, finished in 1570. But the thing that you hear, the people aren't just little filler. The point's been made that if you pay attention to the details in the front, you have the Piero del Bando, that little column. That's where people, it's like your stump speaking. That's where people can stand on and, be preachers of the air, whatever. These folks are watching this little puppet show. And they're little dogs. And in a way, it almost reminds me of like the Callot, the Ferret Impruneta, those lovely little, but the mark is completely different, Let's see. Canaletto makes the people of Venice seem far more interested in a puppet show taking place near the column of St. Theodore at the far left. Theodore, are you ready for this, was the patron saint of Venice until, according to tradition, the relics of St. Mark were brought to the city in 828 AD. All it's like, oh yeah, and our guide told us this, and our guide told us that, and there's the gelato shop. It's just, look at that thing. He's truly writing his name there.
Yes.
And you can see the shorter duration bite in the distance, but that's not crosshatched. It's not filler. It's every line has its place, but every line has its own energy. That's magical. There's even birds flying around in those damn clouds.
Well, I love that he includes this sliver of the Doge's palace there.
Yeah. It's like that one side of the flat. It's like the Italianate
the trees that.
or right before,
frame.
but also like when you look at the stage and the actors go off behind the
proscenium.
The flats
The flats. What are
where the
those
dancers
called?
go floop. Yeah,
Yes.
I forgot the names. English. It's not my first language. Sorry. But I wanted for you to compare how his mark is being made here. There. Look at our little buddies playing with the puppets and all, compared to when he's doing pen and ink. You see, here he's recording information.
Right.
Here, with the etching, he's recording light and movement and mood. With a drawing, it's the facts, it's the scaffolding of it. It's like the design of it. Here, it's the theater of it. It's the sensation of it, I believe.
But he's drawing on the spot, right?
Yeah.
We assume.
With both, I would say.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Because think about it. The plate's not, these little guys, they're like 6 by 8 inches.
Yeah.
And, that's, shoot, man, I wouldn't mind going to that. I'm going to sit out and do some scribing today. That's a hell of a nice living. Some of the other images in these caprices, I just wanted to share a couple with you. One of the last ones of just landscape. And you've not seen this before, but it's just called a mountain landscape with 5 bridges. What do you get here from this lovely little etching?
Well, it appears to be a party of travelers who are making their way. Maybe it's a grand tour cortege or something.
I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely. I mean, they've got a carriage.
They
with
got
horses.
a fancy carriage crossing a bridge across a gully, and then it looks like people are catching up with all the goods that they've brought with them.
There's something going on now. Here's a bridge.
Oh, there's another bridge. I see.
It says there's 5 of them now.
Right.
I haven't spent it. But
1, 2.
Yeah, that's an old dilapidated one.
3.
And that's probably some kind of a shrine right there.
Yeah, 4. Is that one beyond it there?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Win the prize.
Okay.
But wait, there's more. Look at that strange little umbrella. Now, talk about tucking things in. Take a good hard look at what's going under this. There's maybe a shrine on this bridge here too. And there's a fellow down here. I don't know what he's working on, but he's got his head bowed down. Take a look at the far, far right. Right over here.
What is that? Something's hanging from a...
Something or some...
Oh, it's a person.
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's a gallows.
Oh, God.
So there's this little...
Oh, boy.
Little darkness in the... Yeah.
Wow.
Fascinating, right?
How long did it take you to find that?
I was tipped off. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, shit. It's the son of... Yeah. And
Son of a gun.
Right. But that dashing line, and now but it's got this peculiar picturesque quality to it, right?
Yes.
And it's like, oh, there's a whole lot of people ensemble on the stage here, and you can't capture all of the various little tidbits. There's something happening in every spot. So with that, that's the closing of some caprices by our friend, who is such a brilliant draftsperson. And so now that we're talking about the wonders of etching, I mean, it's really amazing to me, honestly, how brilliant this informality of etching is. If you think back to some of the things that we've looked at, there's something refreshing about, if you think Rembrandt, or you think about things are all big stories, and here we have some people farting around on a bridge. Hey, let's look at a puppet show. Hey, let's say, hey, we got some really cool buildings behind us. And it's
beyond like the characters of Kello, or when Rembrandt did the people peeing in the...
it's like
this is even beyond that. Mundane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the word? It's every day. It's every man every day, even though they live in this ridiculously glorious world. But it's theirs.
All right, that's where I'm stopping it for this week with Canaletto. We got one more to go with father and son, Giovanni Battista Tiepolo and Giovanni Domenico Tiepolo. And that episode will be released in 2 weeks' time. As usual, I need to thank everybody, including True, for being my SME. True, you're amazing, and you know how I feel about you. Also, thank you to Dan Ferry of Extension Audio for being my sound guy. Thanks, Dan, for sorting all of my problems out. I so appreciate it. And a thank you to Michael Diamond for the use of his original music. And then lastly, one to Skip Barnhart and Lee Turner for sending me sounds from their studios that make up the top and bottom of each episode. Images, as you know, are over in the show notes at platemarkpodcast.com. You can also hit the support and donate button and help me keep the lights on. All right, until next time.